Besides the famous and often misunderstood idea of the Übermensch, Thus Spoke Zarathustra gives us another figure that may be even more relevant to the modern world: the last man. Nietzsche's last man is not a monster, not a tyrant, and not some dramatic villain. That is exactly what makes the concept so powerful. The last man is ordinary, comfortable, safe, manageable. He does not want danger, transcendence, greatness, or transformation. He wants ease, peace, predictability, and stability. He wants life without risk, without heights, without sacrifice, and without inner struggle. That is why Zarathustra finds him so frightening. The last man is the consumer of existence. He does not truly live upward, he lives sideways, trying to minimize discomfort. He does not ask what is noble, what is true, what is worth creating, what is worth suffering for, or what kind of human being he could become. He asks only simpler questions. Is it comfortable? Is it stable? Is it safe? Is it easy? And in Nietzsche's eyes, this is not harmless. It is the spiritual end of humanity. This figure matters because many readers focus only on the Übermensch and forget that Nietzsche's real warning is often directed elsewhere. He is less worried about rare, extraordinary individuals than about the mass type that slowly becomes satisfied with mediocrity. The danger is not only oppression from above, it is decline from within. A civilization can become spiritually exhausted not only because it is attacked, but because it no longer wants anything higher than comfort. That is the last man. Historically, one can compare this idea to periods of civilizational fatigue, moments when a culture stops aspiring and begins preserving itself in weakened form. Rome is often used as an example in this kind of discussion, not because the analogy is perfect, but because it shows how a society can move from discipline, duty, and struggle toward passive consumption and internal softness. Once a civilization becomes dominated by comfort-seeking rather than character-building, something essential changes. Nietzsche would say the same thing about modern mass society. In a world where the majority determines direction, the dominant values often become very revealing. Not greatness, but manageability. Not creativity, but convenience. Not excellence, but affordability. Not spiritual fire, but endless maintenance of comfort. Society begins rewarding the kind of person who asks only for lower prices, fewer disturbances, less risk, more guarantees, more sedation, more entertainment, and more stability, even if that stability is merely stable decline. This is why Nietzsche's last man is not only political. He is existential. The issue is not simply that people want a quiet life. There is nothing inherently wrong with peace, order, or simplicity. The problem begins when comfort becomes the highest good. Once that happens, human beings stop challenging themselves morally, spiritually, intellectually, and creatively. They stop stretching beyond themselves. They stop risking failure. They stop creating values. They become spectators of life instead of participants in it. And this is painfully visible even now. Many people read, but never write. They admire art, but never try to create. They dream of learning music, but never begin. They want a richer inner life, but postpone it endlessly. They consume inspiration, but do not transform it into action. This is the subtle tragedy. The last man does not necessarily hate beauty, truth, art, or greatness. He simply does not act. He prefers passive admiration to difficult creation. He likes the idea of depth, but not the cost of reaching it. He wants meaning without sacrifice, growth without effort, and identity without danger. That is why Nietzsche treats him as the endpoint of decline. A person can live this way for years and still appear perfectly normal. They work, consume, vote, comment, travel, buy, rest, and repeat. But inwardly, something goes cold. The spark weakens. The person no longer throws ethical, spiritual, or existential challenges at themselves. They no longer ask what they could become. They ask only how not to be disturbed. And once this becomes collective, an entire culture changes. The heroic disappears first, then the creative, then the noble. Then even the desire for truth starts to look excessive. Stability becomes sacred, even when it is the stability of emptiness. At that point, society no longer fears slavery if slavery is comfortable enough. It no longer fears mediocrity if mediocrity is well managed. This is why Nietzsche's criticism still cuts so sharply. He is not attacking ordinary people just to sound cruel or elitist. He is attacking a type of consciousness that refuses transcendence. A person who no longer wants to climb, no longer wants to create, no longer wants to risk, no longer wants to suffer for something higher.